Lord Byron, 1788 to 1824. The Prisoner of Chillon. My hair is grey, but not with years, nor grew it white in a single night, as men's have grown from sudden fears. My limbs are bowed, though not with toil, but rusted with a vile repose, for they have been a dungeon's spoil, and mine has been the fate of those to whom the goodly earth and air are banned and barred, forbidden fare. But this was for my father's faith, I suffered chains and courted death. That father perished at the stake for tenets he would not forsake, and for the same his lineal race in darkness found a dwelling place. We were 7, who now are 1, 6 in youth and 1 in age, finished as they had begun, proud of persecution's rage. 1 in fire and 2 in field, their belief with blood have sealed, dying as their father died, for the God their foes denied. 3 were in a dungeon cast, of whom this wreck is left the last. There are 7 pillars of Gothic mould in Chillon's dungeons deep and old. There are 7 columns, massy and grey, dim with a dull, imprisoned ray. A sunbeam which hath lost its way, and through the crevice and the cleft of the thick wall is fallen and left, creeping o'er the floor so damp, like a marsh's meteor lamp. And in each pillar there is a ring, and in each ring there is a chain. That iron is a cankering thing, for in these limbs its teeth remain, with marks that will not wear away, till I have done with this new day, which now is painful to these eyes, which have not seen the sun so rise for years. I cannot count them all. I lost their long and heavy score when my last brother drooped and died, and I lay living by his side. They chained us each to a column stone, and we were 3, yet each alone. We could not move a single pace, we could not see each other's face, but with that pale and livid light that made us strangers in our sight. And thus, together, yet apart, fettered in hand, but joined in heart, 'twas still some solace in the dearth of the pure elements of earth, to hearken to each other's speech, and each turn comforter to each, with some new hope, or legend old, or song heroically bold. But even these at length grew cold. Our voices took a dreary tone, an echo of the dungeon stone, a grating sound, not full and free, as they of yore were wont to be. It might be fancy, but to me they never sounded like our own. I was the eldest of the 3, and to uphold and cheer the rest I ought to do, and did my best, and each did well in his degree. The youngest, whom my father loved, because our mother's brow was given to him with eyes as blue as heaven. For him my soul was sorely moved, and truly might it be distressed to see such bird in such a nest, for he was beautiful as day, when day was beautiful to me, as to young eagles, being free, a polar day which will not see a sunset till its summer's gone, its sleepless summer of long light, the snow-clad offspring of the sun. And thus he was as pure and bright, and in his natural spirit gay, with tears for naught but others' ills, and then they flowed like mountain rills, unless he could assuage the woe which he abhorred to view below. The other was as pure of mind, but formed to combat with his kind, strong in his frame, and of a mood which 'gainst the world in war had stood, and perished in the foremost rank with joy, but not in chains to pine. His spirit withered with their clank, I saw it silently decline. And so, perchance, in sooth did mine, but yet I forced it on to cheer those relics of a home so dear. He was a hunter of the hills, had followed there the deer and wolf. To him his dungeon was a gulf, and fettered feet the worst of ills. Lake Léman lies by Chillon's walls, 1,000 feet in depth below its massy waters meet and flow. Thus much the fathom line was sent from Chillon's snow-white battlement, which round about the wave enthralls. A double dungeon wall and wave have made, and like a living grave below the surface of the lake the dark vault lies wherein we lay. We heard it ripple night and day. Sounding o'er our heads it knocked, and I have felt the winter's spray wash through the bars when winds were high and wanton in the happy sky. And then the very rock hath rocked, and I have felt it shake unshocked, because I could have smiled to see the death that would have set me free. I said my nearer brother pined, I said his mighty heart declined. He loathed and put away his food. It was not that 'twas coarse and rude, for we were used to hunters' fare, and for the like had little care. The milk drawn from the mountain goat was changed for water from the moat. Our bread was such as captives' tears have moistened many 1,000 years, since man first pent his fellow men like brutes within an iron den. But what were these to us or him? These wasted not his heart or limb. My brother's soul was of that mould which in a palace had grown cold, had his free breathing been denied the range of the steep mountain's side. But why delay the truth? He died. I saw, but could not hold his head, nor reach his dying hand, nor dead, though hard I strove, but strove in vain to rend and gnash my bonds in twain. He died, and they unlocked his chain, and scooped for him a shallow grave, even from the cold earth of our cave. I begged them as a boon to lay his corse in dust whereon the day might shine. It was a foolish thought, but then within my brain it wrought that even in death his free-born breast in such a dungeon could not rest. I might have spared my idle prayer. They coldly laughed and laid him there. The flat and turfless earth above, the being we so much did love. His empty chain above it leant, such murder's fitting monument. But he, the favourite and the flower, most cherished since his natal hour, his mother's image in fair face, the infant love of all his race, his martyred father's dearest thought, my latest care, for whom I sought to hoard my life, that his might be less wretched now, and one day free. He too, who yet had held untired a spirit natural or inspired, he too was struck, and day by day was withered on the stalk away. O God, it is a fearful thing to see the human soul take wing in any shape, in any mood. I've seen it rushing forth in blood, I've seen it on the breaking ocean strive with a swollen convulsive motion, I've seen the sick and ghastly bed of sin delirious with its dread. But these were horrors. This was woe unmixed with such, but sure and slow. He faded, and so calm and meek, so softly worn, so sweetly weak, so tearless, yet so tender, kind, and grieved for those he left behind, with all the while a cheek whose bloom was as a mockery of the tomb, whose tints as gently sunk away as a departing rainbow's ray, an eye of most transparent light, that almost made the dungeon bright, and not a word of murmur, not a groan o'er his untimely lot.